Hail, hail! Good evening, folks. Welcome along to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. It's Friday night. There's four of the regular panel here ready to preview this weekend's big derby, the fifth derby of the season, and we're going to get down into it. I hope the bar is open at Endless Celts HQ. It definitely is over here. And
tinkle.
Yeah, I hope you have enjoyed. This is the start of the bank holiday weekend. What better way than to start by joining in the debate with us lads and talking all things Celtic. So I'm Anthony, one of the regular contributors to the show. I'm filling in for Stephen, the host tonight, but I'm delighted to be joined by three regular panel. First of all, from an unknown but secure location, Wally Dobbin is in the house. How are we, mate?
We're good. We're back in the bunker, mate. There's been lots of shouts in the comments, so we're back in. Hopefully the connection holds up. But all good, mate. Looking forward to the weekend. It's been a long week, but looking forward to Sunday.
Good man. And of course, the resident Michelangelo is here, as talented with a paintbrush as he is with a microphone. Roscoe is in the building. How you doing, mate?
What an introduction, Tony. Something I don't deserve. I'm good though, mate. Good. I always like coming on a Friday night. You get a wee beer, and it's what you could probably say is our biggest game of the season to date. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We have got the big names previewing the big game, quite literally. And last but not least, certainly not least, the man with the plan, the sound guy, the tech guy, the co-host, the graphic designer, the man that he holds everything together, Bobby Madden's nemesis. John Tomlinson is in the house. How are we doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Friday's not normally a day I get to come on because I'm usually busy at weekends, but so it's good to come on with you boys and have a wee beer. And like I says, like Ross says, Neve wanted quite possibly the biggest game of the season, so buzzing.
Absolutely. And well, it's delighted to joining me all tonight, boys, and we're going to get right on straight into it. Before we go right into the previewing the derby, I've just got a few things we want to get through first. And first of all, we'll start on a bit of a sombre note. Today, just like last week, last Friday was the anniversary of one of our iconic Lisbon Lions passing. It's the same today as well. Today's the third anniversary of Stevie Chalmers passing. Another Celtic icon, 393 appearances, 228 goals. Of course, one of those being the most important goal ever scored in our history. I don't know, legend, icon, god, immortal, all of that, all of the above and more. Ross, would you agree?
Absolutely. Like you say, he's probably scored the most important goal in the club's history, and what a goal it was. I've not really, obviously, not got any memories of him playing properly, but I had a night in Parkhead one night and I got my picture taken with him, and it was an absolute gentleman. I was probably a bit worse for wear at the time, which is why I got the courage to go over and ask for the picture. But just an absolute gentleman, like probably all of the Lisbon Lions are. Just that generation, it's a generation thing as well. Just different upbringing, all gentlemen, and just a legend of the club.
Couldn't agree more. And William, just anything you want to add to that?
I don't think there is much to add, to be honest. He's immortal like the rest of them. And the fact that he scored the goal makes him even more special. Exactly what you said and exactly what you were talking about last week. Hero, icon, legend, whatever's above that, he's up there with them.
And I'm sure you would it'd be a unanimous agreement there, John.
Nah, I'm joking. Obviously, one of the good things about being asked last as well is I can just say I echo everything that Ross and William said and just leave it at that. But I mean, absolute legend, and like you say, is that scoring the winning goal and cementing his legacy and Celtic's legacy within football, obviously a fantastic thing. So,
so he's one of the he is a member of the greatest Celtic side of all time, and it was, went too soon. But as always, our thoughts and prayers will always be with Stevie's family. They'll never walk alone.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll move on, guys, and just wanted to sort of touch on from what happened during the week. It was the Team of the Year, SPFL Team of the Year announcement. And as you can imagine, overwhelming majority, Celtic dominated the proceedings. 6 of the 11, and there could be an argument for even more could have been included. But we'll just go through Cameron Carter-Vickers, Josip Juranovic, Captain Callum McGregor, Jota, Tom Rogic, and the little genius himself, Kyogo, all included, Wally. I'm sure we would all agree that nobody could really dispute any of those. But could you actually say, is there anyone you think missed out?
Possibly, aye. I think you could have had a few more in there. Kyogo's in there and he's only played about 3 months of the season, which is nuts. But he deserves to be there. I would have argued maybe at least 1 or 2 more. I thought we'd dominate it. We've been absolutely superb this season and by far and away the best team in the league. And I think that will show at the end of the season when we lift the trophy. Yeah, pretty dominant. I think maybe 1 or 2 could have been in there. A couple of the January signings, if they signed at the start of the year, might have been in there as well. So
that's it. What about yourself, John? Would you? You mean I'm sure you're absolutely aghast that your favourite, Mr. Taylor, never made the slot at left back.
No, listen, he's had a better second half of the season. I'll say that much. It's a fantastic achievement to even have that many guys in it. That, like you said, you could argue that we deserve more, but I mean, wouldn't it be fair on everybody else if we just whitewashed it just completely? Thing we do. You have to include other people just for the sake of it. So, I mean, I'm happy with the inclusions we've got, but like William says as well, there's a couple that you could maybe argue. Abada, for example, we one that I was quite surprised didn't get in because he's had a fantastic season, and I mean, like again, recently he's barely played, but his stats speak for itself.
I think young is it Regan Cook at Ross County? He's a stick on to be in there, but other than that, I think any other positions that Celtic boys could quite easily be switched out for a couple more Celtic boys. I think the boy at Ross County is the only stick on for the team for me.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Well, I mean, he did make the team, Charles Cook. But when you look at some of the other guys, I mean, you could perhaps argue John Souttar's inclusion maybe was partly due to his international exploits as well, Ross. And I suppose, even though we will always have a soft spot for Craig Gordon, but there was just as much a contention for Joe Hart there as well.
Well, when I seen it, I thought, how the hell has Joe Hart no made it? But then I took a step back and I thought about it, and I was like, I mean, you look at probably the amount of shots that Craig Gordon has faced compared to Joe Hart, and Hearts are, they're third in the league. So I think, like the guys said, like Charles Cook is a stick on. I think probably when you think about it, Gordon probably was a stick on in front of Hart, purely just for the shots faced to saves ratio. I think Taylor can consider himself unlucky. I think the only reason I think that they've sort of tried to shoehorn Tavernier in, and they didn't want to have Juranovic missing out, who's been exceptional on the right hand side as well. So I think that's the only reason Taylor's missed out. I think you look at Morelos, he's done well for Rangers, absolutely no doubt about it. I think when you look at Kyogo being included, having not played the full season, I think Giacomakis could consider himself unlucky. I think in the second half of the season, he's been the talisman for Celtic, the guy that's led the line and like basically propelled us towards this league title in the second half of the season. But it's one of the things you don't get too got. It's no thing I'm too fussed about. It's nice to see that amount of players in, and it's testament to what we've done. But at the end of the day, you get nothing for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely bang on. It's all about the bigger words which are fast approaching being handed out, Ross. And just before we go any further, just want to say a big welcome along to all the regulars and all the newcomers that are joining us tonight. Well, I totally appreciate that it's still pretty nice weather out there, and they've probably you've been given the opportunity to sit out and have a few beers and whatnot tonight, but you are spending it probably just in the other best way possible by coming along with us and getting stuck in. So keep putting your comments and that in the chat. We'll bring the best ones up. We'll read some out as well. It's just that's what we do. You guys are the part of the show as well. So thanks again for joining in, everyone at the show. Really appreciates it. But yeah, I think I can't really add much more than what you guys have regarding the team of the year. Like we say, it's not the most. It's not. Good evening, Tomlinson Senior. I hope all's well across the sea, mate. Tell that Stephen of yours we're asking for him as well. But yeah, that's the thing. The most important thing is the team awards, and we're certainly in pole position to win that. And no short, for most reasons, due to the man in the dugout. John, who takes me seamlessly into my next link about how Ange has been, he's the outstanding candidate for Manager of the Year as well. He's on the shortlist. Why there is a shortlist, I've no idea. Clearly, there is nobody else that even comes close to him as far as I'm concerned. When you look at the mess he inherited, when he came over here on his own, when, of course, there was a sticky start and we had to, we fell a bit behind Rangers, to do what he's done, to put us in this position right now, there is surely only one contender to get the Manager of the Year award.
No, absolutely. Like you said, I don't even know why it should be completely unanimous. Like you said, the mess that he's inherited and the way he's managed to turn that around and the position that we're in because of him is absolutely incredible. And he should get a separate award as well, just for the way he's handled the media. I think he deserves some recognition for that as well. He's been absolutely incredible, and I don't think anybody within the Celtic support expected him to do what he's done or to be as good as he is as a manager as well. But it's testament to the job he's done, absolutely, and he deserves it. If he doesn't win it, I'm going to be going out and destroying some shop.
What shop is the question?
Well, that's the thing, Wally. Just what John's saying there about the way he addresses the media. From day one, he's never got too overexcited when we've won. He's kept things in perspective when we've lost, but always just made sure that the media know that he's got the hold of them. Essentially, the best one today was when they were obviously they were pleading with him to just give Rangers a big sort of credit for their performance last night. And I suppose in a way we're not going to sit here and say we wish we were in the semi-final, but you could tell that he was trying to get brought into a sort of war of words in a way. And he just says, look, if you want to talk about what football clubs in Scotland can do, I can just take you downstairs and show you. It's exactly what he's meaning, and the media just don't like it when they won't sing to their tune.
No, it's just I've honestly not got one negative word to say about the guy since he's came in. He's an absolute god in my eyes. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the mess he's inherited, the way he goes about himself, his demeanour, and he's every time I see him with the media, it's just an absolute. I'm either wetting myself laughing or just on my knees thinking, thank Christ we've got this man. He's just an absolute. That today was just brilliant. I think there's a couple others. Somebody put up the Dick at Arbroath. He's got to.
Dick Campbell.
But Dick Campbell's got to be in there. Shout. What he's done there is unbelievable. And I think for Malky Mackay as well. He's worked wonders at Ross County. But again, I think they're just there just to make up the numbers. The big man's got to get it. And not just, like you say, not just because the success he's brought to the club, but what he's done. And the person he is, I think he's been absolutely wonderful for our game, and long may it continue. Long may it continue, him being at the helm. I keep saying it, give him the Alan Pardew contract, 8-year or 20-year or whatever it was.
Well, I would certainly second that. But Ross, Franco brings up a brilliant point there. Rodgers won the treble. This was in his second season when he won the double treble, and he didn't get it on the basis, and this I'll never forget it, the Daily Record were quoted at the time as saying because Celtic are expected to do it, despite the fact that it had literally never been achieved in Scottish football before. And this is where it gets a bit frustrating, because you look at it last year, there was only, for me, a guy like Callum Davidson, with the resources he had, won a cup double. and yet they gave it to the guy with no, that won a league title in front of no fans. Oh, Paul, you are making the best choice tonight. Right, you can't get that on catch up. This is only live once.
Ross, don't ask you a question, man.
Oh, sorry, what did you say? Sorry. I was too busy reading that and then laughing at it, and I totally zoned out.
Oh, don't worry, John, we'll cut that out. See, that was
Rewind, kid.
Before we used to record it live, we used to be able to edit all that. No, I was just saying, basically, that one of the big frustrations was, and it's similar to the team of the year, we accept that it's maybe not, it's not the most important of things, but it's the frustration of why the media keep changing the goalposts with it. And it was on the comment that Franco brought up that Celtic won a double treble and Brendan Rodgers didn't get it because, and by quote unquote, it was expected, despite the fact nobody had ever won a double treble in Scotland before. And yet last season, when Callum Davidson done a footballing miracle in my eyes, winning 2 domestic cups, they gave it to the guy that only won a title because there was no fans in the ground.
Aye, well, I know what you're saying about the double treble, but I think obviously it's manager of the year, so the award isn't actually for the double treble; it's for the treble essentially. And I mean, you could say at the time, a weaker Rangers, Celtic probably are expected to do it. Regardless, he should get the award. He should get the accolade for doing a treble. He's won every trophy that was put in front of him domestically, but he doesn't get it. But I think this season, I think Ange should and probably will get it purely based on the fact that what he inherited, there's a stronger Rangers who were 25 points, I think it was 25 points in front of us, and to turn that around it's nothing short of remarkable, because that team that he inherited was laddies and guys that weren't want to be there. I mean, you look back to the start of the season and he was performing quite well, but guys like Ryan Christie, Christopher Ayer, right? They not so much Christie, but Ayer went for big money. These guys, they're not even, I don't want to say they're forgot about, because they did do great things at the club, but they haven't been missed one iota, and there's nobody going to tell me that Christopher Ayer is a better defender than Cameron Carter-Vickers. Nobody's got to tell me that. Christopher Ayer was average at best, and for us to get 13 million for him was unbelievable business. The guys that Ange has brought in, the transfers, what he's done in the transfer market, that and gelling this team together in such a short space of time. I remember when Rodgers first came in and what he done after Dial. I couldn't believe how good we were, and we done the invincible season in the league, and that the whole domestic league season, and it was incredible. And I always remember saying to my dad, "It's nothing short of incredible what he's done," and it was. I know we haven't went invincible. I know we haven't done a treble, but I think this team was a far bigger. It's one of the biggest messes I've seen Celtic in a long, long time. And Ange has turned it on its head completely. And if he doesn't get the manager of the year, it is an absolute travesty.
Maybe. Well, I'm sure that the next few weeks it'll be he was shortlisted this week. The announcement will come, I'm sure, before the end of the domestic league season. So, we just hope that the right one comes out. And we just have to say some of the comments coming up. Everyone's getting prepared for the big game on Sunday, which is what we're coming right into just now. And I'm going to come straight back to you, Ross, for this one again. This is the fifth meeting of the two teams this season. It's 2 wins apiece, although Celtic have got a 6-point advantage, essentially a 7-point with the goal difference. 1 cup in the bag already. Rangers, of course, have got their Scottish Cup final appearance due to defeating us in the last game. So, as you often allude to on this podcast, that there isn't that much between the sides. And when you look at it now, although we are very much in the driving seat, we have to still respect that there is still a few games left in the season. This is essentially a Champions League playoff. So it's a £40 million game. 20 million when Celtic were top of the league, now Celtic are top of the league, of course, but a few months ago when Rangers were top, the media were very quick to tell you it was 40 million upwards. So I'm sticking with the original figures. How are you feeling about it? Are you nervous or are you feeling relatively calm?
There's always a slight element of nerves, more than a slight element of nerves going into a Celtic Rangers game. But after the defeat the last time, I don't think we turned up. But I'm still confident at home against Rangers. The finish line's in sight. We can smell blood. This team we say it all the time. It's actually boring to say it again, but they didn't stop, and I'm confident, and I want a performance for the referee. If Rogic starts, I want the referee to referee the game and not allow Rangers to make the game what it was the last time and nullify our creative players. And by the way, Rangers are quite entitled to do it. That's entirely their prerogative, but we need a strong referee to allow to protect our technical players. And if that happens, then I only see one winner, and I'm confident that Celtic can do it. It's so close now that they can almost touch it. And I think it'll be similar that way. The last game at Parkhead, where we came off the back of the victory against Dundee United, and we just sensed this is our opportunity to go top of the league, and we grabbed it with both hands and we've no looked back. This is now the chance to all but seal it, and I think again we'll grab it with both hands.
Well, here's hoping, certainly. John, Callum McGregor made a comment in the media this week about how he felt that perhaps the semi-final defeat was perhaps, when you look back at there's a lot of players that are still there from the Invincible season and the quadruple treble winning years, but there is a lot of new players as well. And he did sort of allude to the fact that maybe it was just that little fear of losing that maybe took over a little bit too much in the semi-final defeat. But we remember straight after the game, the first thing Callum McGregor done was round up all the boys, take them back round and give them a sort of calm talking to, as if to say, right, we've lost the day, but we don't lose focus. So with that in mind, do you sort of foresee a start from Celtic similar to what we've seen in the match in February, where we blew them away in the first half?
Absolutely. I think that the fact we're going to be at home, right? First and foremost, you're at your home ground and you've got the home support behind you. That's going to make a massive difference to their confidence and everything else and the energy. And I think that for the first whistle to the last, we're going to be doing exactly as Ange says. We're not going to stop. It's going to be relentless, and I think we're going to put them under a lot of pressure. Now, remember as well, Rangers are missing quite a few key players, and I think that's going to hurt them quite a bit. And I think we can take full advantage of it. But I completely agree with what Ross was saying about the referee situation. It needs to be done properly, and you need a strong referee, which I don't think Beaton is, and it's ridiculous he's even refereeing the game, but that's another story. I just think that we need the referee to just fucking play the game, man. Referee the game as it is. Don't let other players bully and let them get away with stupid tackles and shit like that, because when things like that happen, it'll just descend into chaos. So I'm hoping it's going to be refereed right, but I think that for the first whistle, we're definitely going to be the team on putting it on the pressure, and I think that they're going to struggle to cope with it. And again, this, like you mentioned, Anthony, this is essentially a Champions League qualifier for us. Winning this game guarantees us. I mean, even if we lose the following 3 games, which I don't think is going to happen, we've still got a superior goal difference, and it would take a miracle for them to catch that up. So the league, if we win on Sunday, the league is by and large, it's done. I think we can all just agree that the league's done. No officially, but it's done, without any doubt. So it's hugely important, and I think the Celtic players all know the importance of it and what it means to the position in terms of getting the league title, the Champions League next season, and what it means to the fans and everything else. All that will be, I think, the fact we're at home, I think, is going to play into our hands as well. So I think that we're definitely going to come out on top on Sunday, and I'm like Ross says, you do get these sort of nerves. I'll probably feel them on Sunday morning, but as it stands at the minute, I'm confident.
Thanks. So, Willie, would you agree with the sort of with what John's saying there in terms of it maybe was more nerves at Hampden, and we all watched the game together, the semi-final, and although we were pretty confident on the Friday night, by the time the game came around at Hampden, it definitely we felt that there just wasn't something particularly quite right on the day. Obviously, we opened the scoring, and we thought perhaps we're just going to see this game out. But Rangers, and all credit to them, they found another gear and they managed to turn the match around. Do you sense at the moment, just from the way Ange talked in the media today and Callum McGregor, and just even the way we dealt with Ross County quite professionally on Sunday as well, that Lightning's not going to strike twice and Celtic are going to be more willing to go for this encounter?
I think so, mate. I agree with the guys, and I think I said it on the Tuesday in the pod after the semi-final that, and I said it to Ross before the game. It's so strange because the league game 2 weeks previous, I was like super confident we were going to beat them, and then this semi-final, for some reason, you're right, I don't know what it is, but I turned to Ross at the start of the game, I don't know if you remember, Ross, and I was like, I don't know why, I just don't, and by the way, the game in between, we absolutely trounced the thingy, was it 7-0 we won? So you think we would be even more confident? You think we'd be even more confident, but for some reason I wasn't, and I don't know if that was the case with the team. I don't know if it's because it's Hampden and it's a one-game knockout, and that's obviously there's a bit more pressure there. But again, I'm super confident. Like, I think even if we lose the game, we're still so far ahead that with the goal difference as well. I don't think we're dropping this league. So, excuse me. Yeah, super confident like the boys. We're at home. Get the crowd going again. I don't think Ange needs to say much more than we've got far better players. We're a far superior side. Just go out on the pitch and show it.
God, what you like, Alistair? If we don't win, I'll walk. What you like, my man? Some boy, Sonia. It's the same, just what Ricky was saying there on the comments section as well, and I can't remember who the other guy was brought up, just saying about the biggest worry is just defensively on the wings, and obviously if we were to lose Ralston, that would definitely be, if we are short at right back, there's no two ways about it. If you lose, an international footballer and, a guy who's, had a fantastic season and just kept his head down, and Tony Ralston right back would definitely be an issue. And that's somewhere I would imagine Rangers would look to exploit with, the likes of Ryan Kent and players like that. But, and just before we go any further, guys, just want to say, it's unbelievable some of the comments that are coming in the night from far and wide. We've got guys from Ireland just up the road, and then we've got guys from Australia as well tuning in. So you say, Ross, that it's just the worldwide appeal of the Endless Celts. We've got it, we can't be missed. And John is saying the exact same way it comes up.
Aye, Ross, are you sleeping, sir?
What did you ask me? I thought you were talking about the comments.
I mean, a praise for our worldwide audience.
Oh, aye. I didn't think you were going to ask me to comment on that. I'm just a football guy. Aye, no, aye, it's great that the amount of people that are commenting on the show. It's actually surreal. I just forget that. I forget yous are here, apparently. Never mind the guys in the comments. But I appreciate every one of them.
I don't know how common knowledge this is, but one of our regular commentators who's just below me on the screen tonight, Mr. Dobbin, was recognised at the airport during the week. I mean, it's unbelievable, mate. You're a celebrity now.
Aye, taking a full beamer, man. Don't know if he's in the comments. You should just say it. The wife just laughed at me.
If you're in the chat,
aye, put it in the comments if you're in. Just taking a full beamer in the Edinburgh airport, man, sitting at Wetherspoons with a pint with the wife. Boy comes up.
Tell you, between Golly getting asked for selfies and John, schmoozing with Hollywood royalty, tell you we're moving up in the world, boys. But we never forget where we came from. That's the difference.
Oh, I can't do this, man.
No, listen, honestly, I will say though, to everybody that has been tuning in and continues to tune in, because we're starting to see names are coming up regularly. Guys are obviously tuning in regularly, and the support's been incredible. So, aye, it's unreal, because when we started this, it was an abysmal season. We didn't know we done it just because we couldn't get together because of COVID and all the rest of it, and we couldn't really talk about Celtic, and that's what we loved doing. So it gave us a platform to do that, and we shared it online. And it's just grew into this thing, and it's sort of grew legs, and we're kind of running with it. So I appreciate everybody who's taking the time to watch us week in, week out.
Are we still the most listened to Celtic podcast in Mozambique, aye?
I think we are, aye. It's actually, listen, I know you're saying that and we're laughing, but the stats don't lie, sir.
It's on the data, my man. It's on the data. Anyway, back to the action on Sunday. And
bit self-indulgence there.
I love it. Friday night, mate. So, staying with the derby, well, there's one big question that I think can generate a bit of debate even before we get to the agree to disagree section. And that is, who of our potential player of the years up front should start? Should it be Kyogo leading the line, or should Big Georgios Giakoumakis be brought straight back into the fold?
This is such a tough question, because I go back and forth, and I know the guys touched on it on Tuesday, and I just think it's so difficult to choose between the two. But we talk about playing the game rather than your strongest side, let's say. And I think I would have to go with Giakoumakis, just because in the two previous before the last, he absolutely bullied the two defenders. I honestly think the team most weeks pick itself, other than Rogic or O'Reilly and the two boys up front for me. I just think it's such a tough decision, and I reckon the gaffer's probably going back and forth as well. I'll probably change my mind 17 times between now and Sunday, but I think the big man needs to get the nod, to be honest with you. I don't know if Kyogo's fully fit, fully there yet. I know last week he missed a few chances that he probably should have buried. Saying that, I think at the start of the season he was missing chances he should have scored, and he was still banging in hat-tricks and the rest of it. So it'll be difficult. It's a difficult decision. But like Franny said on Tuesday night, either one of them's in, I'm going to be happy. Whatever team sheet comes out, as long as one of them's playing up top, I'll be a happy boy.
It's a good conundrum to have, Ross, but so that's one vote for Giakoumakis. Are you going with the same, or are you keeping Kyogo in the team?
I'm much like Willie in the sense that whoever's in, you're going to be happy. But for me, purely based on he's played twice against them and won both games, I think Rangers are going to be physical again, and I think we need every bit of physical presence on that part that we can possibly get. I think we missed them massively in the semi-final for that physical presence, because we can't let them bully us like they did in that last game, and I know the referee didn't help, but for me, you go Giakoumakis purely for his physicality, and I think he only needs one chance. I think Kyogo maybe needs one or two. I think for the get him on for the first part, and I think it was telling that Kyogo had 60 minutes on Sunday and Giakoumakis had half an hour. And I said to Franny before that game, I think he'll reverse it and he'll give Giakoumakis the 60, Kyogo the 30. And I think, for me, Kyogo, I love him to bits a day. And I think he can come on. He can come on in that game, and I think it's probably going to eat into what you're going to touch on a bit later on. But I think for me, you start Giakoumakis, and then when you bring Kyogo on, for me, you start Rogic as well, and then when you bring Kyogo on later on in the game, I think you bring O'Reilly on at the same time, and O'Reilly is more likely to find a Kyogo run than anybody else in the team. I think he comes in, he's got a pass, whereas Rogic can find space and do magical things. I just think get Giakoumakis on that part to start with, get a foothold in the game, a physical presence, don't let them bully you, get on top of them, then unleash Kyogo later on when they're all knackered and battered and bruised.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping. So that's John. That is 2 votes for Big GG. Are you going the same way, or are you going for the man from Japan?
Nah, listen, I said I touched on it briefly on Tuesday. I think that Giakoumakis has to be the man to start, and as William says, you need it's an element to playing the fixture, right? I mean, it's going to be a very physical game. Rangers with Bassey, Goldson, and all these other guys, Lundstrom and all that, they're going to be looking to bully players. So starting Kyogo doesn't benefit us, I don't think. I mean, he's more than capable of scoring goals, absolutely. But I think the physicality that Giakoumakis offers certainly is going to benefit us. So it would make sense to sort of start him. And you've seen how much we missed him in the cup game. In the previous 2 games that Giakoumakis has played in and started in, we've won. So I think he definitely offers us something. And like I said, it's going to be a physical game. We're going to need that in and around the box because I think we're going to be pressing them quite a bit. We're going to be pressing high, and we're going to need that presence. But as Ross and that says, and as we'll continue to touch on, having the option of bringing a Kyogo on off the bench, if it doesn't start, maybe Angel throw a wee spanner on the works and start with a Maeda or a Kyogo, as somebody says, or whatever the case may be. The fact we've got all these options available to us, but I think that Kyogo comes on, like you says, with 30 minutes to go, Rangers players are on tired legs, and then that's when they can start doing some damage. And I agree, O'Reilly is the perfect guy if he doesn't start to sort of feed the ball to Kyogo or a Turnbull even, because I think Turnbull's capable as well. But it has to be Giakoumakis has to start for me.
And
what a January window we've had, by the way.
It's incredible, man.
Because I remember before Christmas, see when we were talking about this, that Derby game before Christmas, or the New Year Derby game, and they were talking about moving the fixture. I remember being on this podcast and at the time saying, because there was doubts of Kyogo and Rogic playing because there might be an international duty. And I remember saying, if we don't have they 2 guys, we cannot go into the game without they 2. It's impossible. Whereas now you can drop these 2 guys, and there's 2 other guys in that are just as suitable, and and you're more than happy to go with. It's absolutely bonkers the January window we've had and the way the team is now. I think it's brilliant. Start of the season, you told me if I was having a debate about Kyogo and somebody else starting, I'd have laughed at you. Kyogo's starting every single game.
It's just been one of the kind of mad mental years, isn't it? Where it's just everything's just, it's not even necessarily went the way you expected it to in any way. But of course, most important thing we're happy about is that we're sitting pretty at the top. So guys, I was going to say the same. Believe it or not, I was going to, so it's a unanimous 4-0 for Giakoumakis starting. Hopefully when the big debate section comes up in a wee moment, we might generate a wee bit more. But to round up the derby, the sort of derby sort of preview, I'm just going to do our usual lineup and predictions, but I'm going to do it just now before we switch into the agree to disagree section. So I'll just go around the board. So Ross, start with yourself, mate, with your full lineup and your score prediction.
So again, like we say every week, the back 5 pick itself pretty much. Hart, Ralston, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor. The midfield, Ange had alluded the day in his presser that Beaton was okay. He was back. £89 Kyogo starts. He probably will, by the way, but I wouldn't start him. But the midfield 3, Beaton. Ange alluded to the day that he's available. He's been injured, so it's highly unlikely he would start. I think he'll go with, or I would probably go with McGregor, Hatate, and I would go with Rogic for the reasons I outlined earlier on there. And my front 3 would be... Now, I thought long and hard about this because I'm worried about the threat of Ryan Kent up against Ralston. I worry about that. I've woke up 3 or 4 times this week in cold sweats thinking about it. But it does worry me. And I thought for a wee minute and thought to myself, would I play Forrest just for his, like, to double up on Kent, just because he would track back a bit more? But we're going to try and win a league title here. We're going to try and put it to bed. So, no, I'm going Jota on the right, take the game to them because we're a better team. Jota on the right, Maeda on the left, and the big man, Giacomakis, through the middle.
Nice one. And what's your score going to be?
I'm going to say that we're going to come out the traps flying, smell blood, and do what we've done to them in the last game at Parkhead, and I'm going to go 4-1 Celtic.
I'd take that, man. I'd take that, absolutely.
Sexual.
And down to yourself, John. Line up, score prediction. Let's go.
Like he says, Hart, Taylor, Vickers, Starfelt. Well, we know Ralston, obviously, with Janovic being out. I kind of disagree, though, in the midfield. I would start O'Reilly ahead of Rogic, because Rogic, for me, I mean, and I'm not saying that he's no capable, because we know he can turn it on at any point, but he's been off the boil for me for the last couple of games, and I don't know what it is. Maybe he just needs a rest, and
I agree with that.
For whatever reason, I think that might play into it, and O'Reilly will probably start. That being said, Kalmak as well, and Hatate, even though Hatate also says he's absolutely gubbed and he needs a rest. But I can see that being the sort of midfield three. And again, when you're coming to the front three, it has to be Giacomakis leading the line. And this is something that I didn't initially think about, but you mentioned, obviously, Ross, there, the threat that Ryan Kent poses, and having somebody on that right side who is going to track back and help. Do you think that maybe switching Maeda out to the right just to see because we know how he can track back, and we know his pace, and if he's like constantly buzzing about Kent and giving him problems, then that could certainly nullify that threat. But he's also offering something on the right. I don't think he's moving them out to left to right is going to struggle. So having Jota on the left and Maeda on the right just to try and negate that threat.
But then you've got Tavernier on the other side, who's probably
Jota will turn him inside
player.
Out.
I know, but it's going the other way. He's more of a threat going the other way.
I'm confident Taylor will hold him up.
Listen, by the way, I like your I like your thinking that, John. It's crossed my mind as well about Maeda, but I think he's got to look after Tavernier.
Aye. But in the same vein, I think those two are going to start up front anyway.
Aye. See, if you're talking about that then, and you're wanting another fan, you're wanting somebody that'll track back and all the rest of it. What about Maeda right, Kyogo left?
Again, another, and this.
I think you lose Kyogo out there, man.
You do to an extent.
I agree. I wouldn't go with it. It's just thrown in.
It's just
about.
But the fact you're even able to have that discussion,
because Kyogo will track back and he'll take Tav right to his own corner flag and nibble at his ankles all day as well, just like Maeda does. So.
It's just for debate purposes, William.
Yes.
I think one of the things that plays into our favour here is the fact we even have these options, because let's say we start the game, you're maybe 25-30 minutes in, and maybe Kent is causing problems. You've got the option of switching players, Jota and Maeda. You can switch them out, see how it works, switch them back, and they won't know how to counter that. So again, it just shows that the quality we've got, the depth we've got. But that would be the front three: Giacomakis, Jota.
That's not a coincidence, by the way.
No, I think Ange knows.
Ange brought these guys in knowing that they can play in a
variety of positions.
Absolutely.
They've done it like in numerous occasions.
I was going to say 3-0. I think it'll be a 3-0 game.
I'll take that. Two big high scoring predictions for Celtic. Willie, you going to make it a hat trick? What's your lineup and score?
Yes, I am. I'm the exact same as Ross, and I'm the exact same opinion of him as I was going to bring it up as well. That I think that bringing on O'Reilly and Starfelt hat trick, Paul Dye. How do you pronounce that again, Ross?
Paul Jet.
Balance, you know?
Paul Dye. Paul Jet. Me and him are singing together.
I was going to bring up the point, Ross. I think he's bang on. I love O'Reilly. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar for us, and I think him and Kyogo coming on after about an hour or so. I think they can do the damage afterward. But I think this is a point that's been brought up that Jed's brought up as well, by the way.
It's not a bad shout.
And I think I'm not so sure. The only thing I think about Turnbull in there is we talk about losing midfield battles because they're physical, and I think Hatate's got the physical side of him, and I'm not so sure Turnbull's got that. He's more a flair player and a number 10. So, but I can see him in there in the future, definitely. And
do we know if Beaton's available, by the way?
You just shut off when I talk, guy.
I was channeling Ross. Did you mention it?
Aye.
Ross did I. I'm the same, the usual back, obviously the back five, and I'm Kalmak, Hatate, and Rogic in midfield, with Jota on the right, Maeda left, and Giacomakis up front, and I'm going 3-1 Celtic.
We'll take that. And
so excited.
I've actually went for the same team. To be honest, Hart, Taylor, Vickers, Starfelt, Ralston, McGregor, Hatate, Rogic, Jota on the right, Maeda on the left, and by Giacomakis up front. That was my initial thoughts. But some great opinions there. Some coming through in the comments as well. I think even the guys even suggested Kyogo in the number 10. That would certainly be interesting, especially if you had big Giacomakis up front as well. These are the options. This is what Ange gets paid the bucks for, and he's delivered pretty much perfectly the last season. So here's hoping for more of the same on Sunday. I'm going to stick with I'm going to go a wee bit more. I'm going to go my hassle-free 2-0. I'll be very happy with that. As long as we're victorious, that's the most important thing.
That's it,
good. Absolutely. And good luck to the boys on Sunday. But just for a wee bit of fun, boys, got a couple of quick subjects that I'm just wanting to bring in. Shamelessly borrowed from Lad Bible. I don't know if anyone's watched it recently. It's a fantastic series called Agree to Disagree. Basically, pundits, podcasters, ex-players, usually in the run-up to a big game, get asked a question relating to the club of their choice. And it's usually, Man United, Liverpool, or Tottenham, Arsenal, or whatever. But we're giving it a little Scottish persuasion tonight. So basically, I'm just going to ask a question. There's 4 options, and then you've just got to justify your answer. And that's it. As I say, shouldn't take too long, but it's just a wee bit of fun just to round off the show on a Friday night. So I'm going to come to you, William, first for this. So question 1, agree to disagree. Do you either strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree that Celtic winning the league this year is bigger and more important than 10 in a row?
I'm going to disagree.
You disagree, okay.
Not strongly, just disagree. That's very close for me, but I mean that was the Messiah. That was the Holy Grail, wasn't it? 10. I think Bayern have just done it, but I don't know if any other clubs have ever done it. I think that is like we say, that is the Holy Grail. So I think, and remembering how devastated I was when we didn't do it last year, but I totally see the point. This year's been massive, and the turnaround in the squad has been unbelievable. And the gaffer's the one to thank for all of that. So I think if I had the choice between the two, it would have to be the 10. 10.
Okie doke. Ross, care to offer an agreed or disagreed opinion?
Same question. I would say disagree as well. I like Willie said, I don't think you can downplay how much Neil Lennon said that he thinks we wanted it too much. He might be right. It was so important, and you believed for years. When Rodgers came in, we were singing about he's got to be there for 10 in a row. It was so important. It was massive. We all wanted it, and it would have been historical, and another wee piece of history in our long, unbroken history. But yeah, automatic qualification for the Champions League, 40 million prize pot, money, all the rest of it. It doesn't compare to being able to say to them, we've done 9, we've done 10. We didn't quite get there, but step 1 is complete almost, so we're back on the trail.
Very well argued, Ross. John, same question.
Yeah, I have to agree with the boys. I mean, there's nothing I can really add to that's any different than that. I think pretty much any Celtic fan you ask, you're probably going to get the same answer. But what I will say is that given the position we're in now, if you, well, in fact, no, it's all right. I was going to propose a question in a different way, but I mean, I'll ask it anyway. Fuck it, right?
Aye,
so
fuck it.
let's say. Let's say if you were offered, right, and again, obviously winning 10 was a holy grail, as you said. If you were offered the chance, if you were to say, right, Celtic guaranteed the 10, but you don't win 11, and Rangers win that this year, and the automatic Champions League in the 40 million, would you still take it if that was offered to you? Would the 10 still be a priority?
Considering this was going to be my exact argument against why I agreed with my question rather than disagreed. And I'll maybe go into question 2, which is a wee bit more left field, but I think has the same reasoning why. I think.
I hear your reasoning why, though.
I would say if somebody had said to me during lockdown when we got the 9 in a row, right, 10's not going to happen. It's going to be an absolute disaster. And you're going to look like you're pretty much in the ashes. But then, as a caveat, you were promised what was going to happen this year. I'll be honest, I would have taken it. Because I think, listen, and we would joke, you could have put the number 10 on any piece of merchandise in the Celtic Superstore and it would have sold out. I totally agree with that. And I'm as on board with the 10 in a row as any other supporter. I mean, the thought of doing it was, as Neil Lennon says, maybe we wanted it too much. But we are just the current generation of supporters. And I think basically we want, and that, Jed, you're absolutely bang on.
Can I change my answer? Jed.
Basically, if you win the 10 in a row, but then let's just say the season's happened in reverse, right? Just say we had the 10 in a row, and then what happened in the 10 in a row season happened this season. Like you said, John, Rangers would have, and their media partners would have very easily dismissed their achievements of the 10, and they would be £40 million better off. And although it's a lot, but it's about the next phase of Celtic's history. And as much as the 10 would have been historic, 4 consecutive trebles is not a bad return either. And the thing is we may never get the chance to do it again. That's right. But for me, I think it's always the most important thing is always that the club's in a healthy, sound footing, which is why I think it's better if you'd have gave me the option of having these 2 seasons to happen, but which way they were going to go, I would have sacrificed the 10 for what I would argue is the greater good.
Absolutely. That's a very valid
That's why you're a Jedi and we're all like Darth Knobs.
Daft knobs.
So, question 2, let's see if we can get more of a debate here. So this is with the caveat that, like we say, we're very much ahead in the league, right? Barring a disaster, Celtic are going to win the league this year. And thanks to our Merseyside cousins, it looks, taking care of business against Villarreal, it looks like we're going to be automatically in the Champions League next season. So the next question is, and I'm going to come to you first, Ross, for this one. As I say, we imagine that the estimate that it's going to be a £40 million windfall for participation in next year's tournament. My argument is Celtic should set aside a large chunk of that prize money rather than transfers or wages and start putting bricks in the ground and get the hotel built and Lennoxtown upgraded. What's your thoughts?
So your argument is you think we should invest some of that £40 million into the training ground and building the hotel rather than into the playing squad?
Yeah, of course there would still be money available for players, but shall we say the transfer budget would be affected by it if Celtic were to, well, I would say prioritise, but if they would at least, even if they were to make a start on it?
I strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
I strongly disagree because I think that the journey we're on, Ange Postecoglou has got a vision in mind. I think he wants to make inroads in Europe. It's probably not realistic that we're going to win the Well, it's not realistic that we're going to win the Champions League, but I think in Ange's head, he believes it can be achieved. I just think that's the way he thinks, and to do that, he wants to get the player, the type of player in that he wants. Whether the board will allow that is another thing. But I think first and foremost, you have to back Ange and get the playing squad to where he wants it to be. And then whatever's left over, because Celtic have got money anyway, already. So it's not even like that £40 million is all you've got to work with. That's just a massive boost to the coffers, and it'll help us along the way. But off the back of the pandemic as well, you don't fully know the financial situation. Maybe that's why it's been put on hold just now, the talk of the hotel stuff and that. I think it will happen, but I'm all about the team. If we've got a hotel, wonderful. If we've not got a hotel, I can give a shit. So, you know what I mean?
There's somewhere to tip after this Christmas party, you know.
We'd have cracking set of digs for a far cheaper amount than what you would pay to get into that Celtic hotel, and it looked right on the parkhead.
If we to carry on the way we carried on in the flat that night in a Celtic hotel, man, I'd get my season ticket taken off me. But,
listen,
I digress.
Bring in Saul back in and all the rest of it before you get a fancy hotel with a shitey breakfast.
John, I'm going to come to you second on it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I disagree as well. I think that the investment into the team is priority. It should be priority. Backing Ange to the help, just giving him what he needs to sort of build the team that he's obviously looking to do. But in saying that, I mean, I'd still think investment in the training facilities is paramount as well. I think there's a lot of investment within the club, and it needs to be modernised, as we spoke about earlier on in the season. I think that's not up for debate either. But listen, we've also seen what Ange can do with a tighter budget and the kind of players he can bring in as well. But I think with a wee bit extra money behind him, some of the signings he could probably bring in, they'll be even better. And for me, it's a no-brainer.
Nice one. And Wally, last but not least, what's your thoughts on taking some of the transfer budget out and getting some of the infrastructure put in? What's your thoughts?
I'd love to agree, but I can't. I disagree. See, the thing is, and John, I think the argument for agreeing is John's bang on. Ange has already shown that he doesn't need a massive budget to build a squad. And for me, I really don't think we need too much to compete next year in Europe. I really don't. I think defensively we were a bit woeful this year, but since then the partnership of the two centre halves has grown. I think we're more solid at the back. For me, on the summer, I wouldn't be surprised if we only had 2 or 3 signings anyway. But I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be decent money signings. That's a good point, by the way. That's a very good point.
I don't know what Abramovich is up to these days. You know, he can maybe
You've been watching too much Ozark. Was it Paul that said the misses for Ozark for this tonight?
Yeah, possibly. Aye.
No.
I'll build it.
Too much Ozark. Aye, we'll build it.
RM Decker will build it.
Aye.
Just go and get a hotel. It's easy.
Just build it.
What you're staring at?
Just build it.
Just go get Ross. Just go get Ross. Just staring at. Aye, but for me, investment and see the training, it's not as if Lennoxtown is an absolute shithole, is it? It's like it's up there. It's very, very good facilities. Mm-hmm. So for me, the money needs to go into the squad because we haven't. Ange hasn't spent much in what he's built. Imagine if he's got a bit more money behind him and he can splash the cash a bit more. Imagine what he can do then. But it's going to need to be a very good player to get into this squad. So I'm excited to see what the summer brings. But for me, and as a fan, we're always banging on about biscuit tins and all the rest of it. We always want to see investment in the team and the squad. That's what we're here for, and that's what we're watching every week. So, unfortunately, it's going to have to be I wouldn't strongly disagree. I thought Ross was a bit harsh there, to be fair. But
putting it out. So I've got you marked down. Ross is a strong disagree. John and Molly are a disagree.
Listen, I tell you, I'm a knob.
Well, I must admit, before we wrap up, I'll give you my argument why I agree with it in terms of, as I say, I thought it would be a bit more contentious, but it's 3-1 on both here. I go back to when Fergus took over and he was faced with the same sort of dilemma. Do you rebuild the stadium or do you invest significantly in the squad? And a lot of the absolute majority at the time was saying, just buy the players, Fergus. He's quoted as saying it went, buy the players, Fergus, will stand in the mud. A fair argument that I would absolutely agree with. But his argument was, he went, you've got to have a tool, you've got to have something symbolic to attract the next generation of player, because you could see at that time that football wasn't just going to be about the terracing or whatever. Fergus was way ahead of his time. And I feel that an upgrade on Lennoxtown, Ronnie Dyla often made the argument about, I think it was quoted at about 2.5-3 million for one of these all-surface indoor, I can't remember the exact term for it, but it was almost like a big bubble tent kind of thing, and you could adjust the temperature to simulate different playing conditions, so you could do the heat of Seville or the cold of Russia. And you think for 2.5 million quid, that's less than half what you were going to pay for a Jota or a Carter Vickers.
How do you create the graveyard, the Ibrox?
Is that's it, and it's just. I just think seeing Celtic, and I'm not saying don't sign players, of course I'm not, but I think sort of symbols like that, having the best training facility and seeing the next sort of big infrastructure being built, I think what that would do in terms of sort of morale for our friends across the city, we just see that we're already 3-4 steps ahead. We've got the financial muscle to do it. But of course, you've got to marry that up with Celtic, but with the squad being sort of improved upon as well. But I think I don't think they don't have to necessarily be mutually exclusive. And I think if we were to actually just say, no, do you know what, we're building it and we're getting on with it, I just think it could then end up being a nice cycle rather than a vicious one, where we're so far ahead that qualifying for the Champions League becomes more of the rule rather than the exception, so to speak. So that's just my take on it. I might pen a wee article supporting it and see if James P will publish it in the close season and see how I go. But no, that was good, boys. I thought I just thought something different. Can I ask
another one? I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be in agreement anyway, but I'd like to hear, because we all talked about how the 10 was like the holy grail. We won a quadruple treble there, which is unbelievable achievement. I don't think it'll ever be seen again. Would you, if you could, swap that for the 10?
No.
No.
Oh, Ross was
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
I was trying to know who you were talking to for.
those days are days. And don't be wrong, it would have been the 10, and especially if you can imagine, if we'd have won the 10, it would have been where we were still in a partial lockdown, and it would never have been quite the same, the same memories. The day we done the Invincible treble, the double treble, God, I keep saying it, Wally, I'm still sobering up for that day with you with the treble, 10 consecutive trophies against Rangers, and then, winning the 9, equaling the Lions, and then, of course, albeit behind closed doors, but we certainly raised a few glasses when we cemented the quadruple treble. It's something that will never be achieved again. No other team in Scotland will ever do 12 out of 12 unless it's us, as far as I'm concerned.
I totally agree. I thought it'd be interesting.
Quadruple treble for me all day long.
Because we talk about that, and like us growing up and the folklore and that is the be all and end all for us. 10 in a row is like the holy grail. And for me, in the past 5 years, we've achieved far more than that. And like what we've achieved has been nothing short of like miraculous. And I think sometimes people forget that. I think it's like we should be. It's just acceptance that we should be winning all these trophies, and even so, and in a way, this year it's been the same. Even before that semi-final, I'm expecting us to win this treble this year, and I don't know if that's because of the previous, but these they're not
normalised
easy,
it.
they're not. Yeah, they're not easy to win. They're not easy to win, and at the time it looked easy for us, but it's not. And we've got to remember, obviously Rangers are our closest rivals. They weren't in the league for a long time, and we still weren't winning them. I think that shows how difficult it is, and what we did is nothing short of miraculous. So I think sometimes we harp on about this 10 in a row a bit too much, and it's the pinnacle and it's the holy grail. But what we achieved in the last 5-6 years has been nothing short of incredible, and for me, far surpasses that. And everybody's in agreement, so I think it's.
I would agree with that, and I always remember, like, well, I mean, there you go. There's what's getting said there. Well, celebrate my
PC
I always, I always remember when we were doing the trebles. Like, well, you look now, right? Bayern Munich have won 10 in a row, right? So that's a team that's done it. I don't think anybody else has won 4 trebles in a row, to my knowledge.
No team had ever won. PSG and I believe Total Network Solutions in Wales had done double trebles.
Aye.
No team had ever done a treble, and no team.
Total Network Solutions.
I know, eh? No, as a team, no.
I tried to keep a straight face there, but I was like, nah.
So waiting for Ross to go, did they? Aye.
No, but that quadruple treble never. When we done the double treble, I remember celebrating and screaming in folks' faces, "We'll never see the likes of this again." This is like, you can tell your grandmains about that. And then the following year we done the treble. Aye, but it's true.
I know.
There's nobody. There's no. When you actually think about it, right? You could win 10 leagues in a row, right? You could, because you're financially better off and whatever, right? Over the course of a season and a league title, you can afford to lose X amount of games, however well, the second team is doing at the time. But to win that amount of cups alongside it's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, and it'll never be equalled, never be matched. And we done it, and I think, like you have sort of alluded to, it gets slightly diminished in the media, and possibly the support sections, the support itself, because we didn't do the 10, and that disappointment, it's there, it's etched in the memory. But then when you take yourself back to winning 4 trebles in a row, it's incredible. It's an achievement like no other. And anybody can try and paint the narrative that Rangers were weaker. They were, but you still have to win all the cup games. Mm-hmm. However many it was, I can't mind, 30, 40 odd cup games without losing. Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
When they were in the 3rd division, we weren't doing it. Never mind the weaker side that's here now. So,
aye.
I mean, exactly. they even with how weak we were last year, they could only win. St Johnstone won 2, for fuck's sake.
Well, I keep saying it. St Johnstone, the most successful side in Scotland in 2020, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we shall end it. But we'll be the most successful side in Scotland this year when the league comes back to paradise. But in terms of the show, thanks for the agree to disagree, boys. That was a good wee laugh. We'll maybe bring that back in the future. But in terms of the show for tonight, I think that's pretty much us done. Have you enjoyed yourselves tonight?
Immensely.
Yep.
Immensely.
What's
that, Wally? You're a dick.
Yes, I am.
But a huge thanks again to the boys for joining us tonight. A big thanks again to everybody for watching and tuning in. As I say, I appreciate it's nice weather tonight, and Oxark and whatever's on the telly. So it's we appreciate everybody that tunes in gets involved. And of course, before we go, we always have to say, spread the word. That's how the show will grow, and it'll get more recognition, guys. Just if you haven't already, hit the wee subscribe button and the wee bell notification. It'll let you know anytime we go live. We're also on Spotify as well, so just nip over, and if you like what you are hearing, give it a wee 5-star review, because again, it gets good traction. And like I always say, it actually counts for something rather than certain other places that use 5 stars. That means absolutely hee-haw. And as I say, thanks again to the boys. Enjoy your bank holiday weekend, and here's hoping those Monday hangovers are celebrationary ones rather than commiseratory ones. Good luck to Celtic on Sunday. And in the words of our captain, Stephen, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.